Hi, I'm Deborah Keevan of Highlander Press, and today I have the distinct pleasure of talking with Jill Celeste, who is the founder of Celestial University and Virtual Networkers, as well as the best-selling author of That First Client, editions 1 and 2.
Thank you.
Hi, Jill. We're going to talk today about you've written this an updated edition of That First Client. The
Hmm.
first edition you self-published, and the second edition we worked together with Highlander
Right.
Press to publish. And I'm just going to put a plug in here that she's in the midst of revision of her latest book called Loud Woman, which is going to be coming out this fall under Highlander Press's umbrella. So yay. Um,
Yay.
so Jill, tell us a little bit take us back to 2016
16.
when
Hmm.
you first wrote and published That First Client.
So in 2016, I was issued a challenge by my business mentor to write what in the industry is called a lead generation book. It's a small book that you give out to potential clients so they get a chance to know you, sort of like a really robust business card. And we had 90 days to write the book. And I took the challenge and I thought, I can do this. I'm a writer. And I started to write the book. And then my father passed away.
Uh,
And I thought, oh no, I can't focus on this. And I felt Dad's spirit there. And he's like, finish the book, finish the book. So I did. And so in July 2016, I published my first book. I actually have a copy of it here today called That First Client. That's the first edition. Yay! And you see it's a skinny little book. Packed with info. But that was my
Absolutely.
first edition. Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely. Um, isn't it interesting that you and I, in our first books, each of us, our dads passed away just before we
Mm,
finished.
yeah.
So
Mm,
yeah, I can totally relate to that.
yeah.
So
Yeah. He's
it's
definitely he's definitely in the book spirit wise though. So that makes it extra
absolutely,
special.
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So you published your book, you finished your book, you published it. Talk about that publishing process as a first-time author. I know that back then Amazon was using something called Create Space, which is now
Right.
morphed. But talk about what it was like to go through that process, the back end process.
It was as if I was walking down a street blindfolded. I had no idea what to do. Self-publishing was still relatively new, so there wasn't a lot of people teaching about it. Like now, you could go to YouTube, probably, maybe figure things out. But back then, there was nothing. There was no one there to guide me on the process. No one to tell me what to do. And I figured everything out on my own, quite imperfectly. And it made the process of publishing the book harder than it needed to be because I had no idea what to do. I'm super proud of myself for getting it out there, and it was an imperfect process, but it was so unnecessarily hard going through that process by myself, which is why I said to myself, never again. I'm going to, I don't mind writing a book, but I need a guide. I need someone to help me with the
Yeah,
distribution and the publishing. So I really did feel blindfolded, and I'm proud of myself for getting it out there. I
absolutely.
can't believe I got it out there because there was a lot of roadblocks, but we did it. We did it.
And you made it a bestseller,
I did.
right? Like let's
Yes.
just take a moment and even though it was hard and even though there were some extra very difficult challenges, you because of your expertise as a marketer, I think that you had, even though the back end process may have been hard and you figured it out, you leveraged your own skill set to make it a bestseller. So
Yeah,
that's huge.
I'm lucky to be a marketing expert. I feel sorry for those who try to self-publish without that marketing expertise, because that's just another thing that you have to learn or find resources on. So thankfully, I have that resources innately, and I did get it up to number 25 on the bestseller list in marketing category, which was a very big accomplishment even back then. It'd be even harder to do now.
Right.
And I think that getting that bestseller status was very validating for me as an author. Um,
Sure.
but I really didn't do much with it because I didn't have the support structure around me to help me with it.
Excellent. So fast forward to last year, 2020, the year of the pandemic,
Yes,
and we had a conversation. And
yes.
what was that like?
So I approached you about Loud Woman, the book that you
Mhm.
mentioned earlier. And in that conversation, you said to me, Jill, I think you should reissue that first client. I think you need to do a second edition, which was something I had realized even back in 2016 that I wanted another go at this. Again, it was imperfect action, nothing wrong with that, but I
Yeah.
knew that things could be better. And I thought, okay, this seems to be the nudge that I'm looking for. And so while I was drafting the first draft of Loud Woman, I resurrected the copy of that first client, and you and I worked together. And it was such a better process having you there to help me. It was almost like pressing that proverbial easy button with the
Uh,
second edition's publication.
well, and I have to say that you're a very gifted writer. And so you're
Thank
like
you.
an ideal client because not only do you like say, here's what I'm going to do, you always meet or exceed your deadlines. So it was an absolute pleasure
Thank you.
working with you on that process. And so we worked together, we got it edited, you really beefed it up. And
Yeah.
then launch came, and you, because you are a marketer, primarily handled your own launch. But
Hmm.
what was that experience like? Because the back end was done for you. What was different
Yes.
about the two things?
So I didn't have to spend time on the back end. So I could take that time that I had spent over to marketing efforts so that my marketing was even more robust, more effective because I have more time for it. I wasn't worrying about ISBNs and things going up to different platforms and making sure the cover was the right size. I didn't have to worry about any of that. You and your team took care of that for me. So that allowed me to focus on what is something I really love, which is to do marketing. And because of that, I was able to recruit launch partners. I was able to provide them the right materials. I was able to say the right things. And when we republished the book on January 26th, became another Amazon bestseller. How
Yes,
about
it
that?
did. Let's show off that cover.
Let's show it off. Here it
So
is.
I love this because it really does show an evolution. Past the
Yeah, I'll do
butterfly, which is
a little
very
side by side.
representative. Yeah, yeah. And I love that the challenge became, how do I get this in front of other people? Because you got a lot of advanced praise and a lot of blurbs, which I think
Yeah,
then adds to that validation of this book.
right, right. But
So
I got that because I had you helping me in that process. Yeah, I did a little bit of that with my first edition. I may have gotten 4 blurbs, for example, where this time I don't even know how many. It
we
was
had paid,
pages. But it
and they
was
were
because
all
you
really
have a
good.
process.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you to them. But you had a process. You're like, okay, Jill, now it's time for you to go get those blurbs. Now it's time for you to, upload this, or now it's time for you to find, write the copy for the back cover. And it was just that you had the process, and you basically were giving me a set of instructions, which I do very well with,
Mhm.
at a due date, and I was able to turn that stuff back around with you. And that feeling of not having to think about what I need to do next, I can focus on the pieces that I love to do, but
Right.
those other things that I'm not so uniquely brilliant in, those details, you took care of for me, and I am so glad. Thank you.
Well, and it's so fun because it was truly a marriage made in heaven because we do complement each other, and again, you're like that ideal client. You meet deadlines, you ask really good questions, you show up, and you show up fully, and it made it really fun. So thank you for trusting us with that,
Oh, my
that
pleasure.
second edition. Now, from the time I issued you the challenge to redo it to launch day, that was like less than 3 months, if I recall.
Yeah, I mean, we took sort of both of us were off for the Christmas holiday, so I
Yeah,
won't count that because we weren't working. So it was about 3.5 months, three and a half, 4 months.
yeah. And that
When you
includes,
read, and I did, most of the book was written because it was second edition, but I did add content,
you did,
um, and it went from 60 pages to over 100. So,
right.
we definitely spruced it up. We added some different calls to action, and then included the creation of a workbook, which I have that accompanies that first client. So anybody who wants to download the workbook could go to my website, jillceleste.com, I just like to learn that way. I like to write things down and
Yeah,
get the pen and paper out. And so for people who like that, so I created that as well, a companion workbook, and in that time frame. And that's really cool too, because now I have that as an offering to go with the book.
absolutely. And you also designed your author website. I mean, you were
Yes. Oh
doing a
gosh, that's
lot
right.
of
Another thing.
work, right? And it's
No wonder I'm
gorgeous.
tired.
Go visit jillceleste.com. I'll put it in the notes. It's gorgeous.
Yes.
It's
Thank you.
gorgeous.
Thank you. Yes, it was
So,
the so I launched an author brand on the same day I launched my second edition of That First Client. I mentioned that you don't have to necessarily do that as an
no,
author, but what it allowed, but having Highlander Press doing a lot of this back end and giving me sets of instructions freed me up so I could do these really important tasks that I had on my plate. I would not have been able to pull off a website and a companion workbook and all those other pieces, plus run my business
right.
without Highlander Press doing so much of the heavy lifting behind the scenes.
Well, thank you for trusting us to do that with you
You're welcome.
because it's so fun for us to see all the success and the continued success. Like this,
Yeah.
then, you're creating this ripple effect so that when Loud Woman comes out this fall, you're really claiming that whole nother level of you, which is
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. So
Exciting.
thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. I'll put in that's Jill Celeste. I'll put her website address in the bio or the show notes of this, and you'll be able to go to her website and you can order the book right from her website
Right.
at any number of places that you want to get it in any format that you like. And they can then download the companion workbook.
Yay.
Yay! Thank you for being here, Jill.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate it.